everybody, and welcome to 12 Days of Gracefulness. It's my spin on 12 Days of Christmas, but it's me, so this is what we got. So, welcome, y'all. For those who know me, you've been with me for a while, welcome back. I'm so glad you're still here. For those who don't know me, welcome. I'm glad that you're hanging out with me on this grace journey. You'll get to know me very well over time. I'm very transparent. This is what I do, and I'm glad that you're here. So, we are doing 12 Days of Gracefulness. It's exactly what it says. We're going to go through 12 days of different topics. We're going to talk through some things, get some stuff in order, mentally, physically. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. We're going to do all of it because, we're humans and that is what we do. So we're ending out a new year. And as we end out this new year, I wanted to set us up just right to go into a brand new year on top and mentally in a good space. And I think that for a lot of us, we had all these things that we wanted to do in 2022. We had all these desires and things that we said were going to happen. And they may not have necessarily happened as we thought they would. But I don't want us to go into 2023 down or upset that it didn't happen. I want us to go into a new year excited about what's going to come. So on this journey, I invited some of my friends, my family, my loved ones, people I trust to be able to talk to us about these things and know that they can kind of help us move forward. For today, I have my friend. I've known her for a long time in different spaces, different avenues. We've kind of transitioned in different ways, but I've known her for a while and I trust her to be able to talk about today's topic. And it is Teach Me How to Love You. Setting expectations. Now, y'all know that could go, and my arm keep going out, say technology. But anyway, y'all know this could go different ways. Y'all know that love and all this stuff, it gets a little icky sometimes, but we're going to talk about it today. And we're going to go into 2023 with good expectations on love for us and for others. So, Yolanda, welcome. If you
Hey girl, hey.
she's here, and now Yolanda is a hoot. Like she's a whole personality, and I absolutely love it. So y'all just go with it. But Yolanda is a lot of things. When I say she is multifaceted on so many levels, I just be like, what don't you do? Like really. But she's gonna talk about who she is, kind of some of what she does, and at the end we'll get her handles so y'all can follow her. I want y'all to follow everybody who comes on here because they're all important and all amazing to follow. But she's going to talk about a little bit who she is, what she does, and then I want her to tell us just how she felt or what it means to her when I say to her, teach me how to love you and setting expectations. So we're going to start from there. Yolanda, take it away.
Hey girl, hey. It's Yolanda J in these social media streets, but my government name is Yolanda Johnson. I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur, so I do a lot of different things. But the main focus for me is just to build confidence in others in different aspects of my life. I'm an e-commerce entrepreneur and I sell accessories. So I'm building confidence in women and men who want to feel better about their outward appearance. I am a financial literacy coach, so I want to help folks feel better, feel more confident in their finances and financial wellness. I am a leadership, what do I call that? Good grief, a leadership, oh man, development coach, leadership development coach. I still have brain fogs from COVID. Excuse me. I hope that doesn't happen a lot today. A leadership development coach where I'm helping entrepreneurs feel confident in their businesses. So all of my businesses have a commonality, and that's building confidence in others. So that's me. But most importantly, I love God and I'm his child. And on top of that, I'm a mother of four beautiful, I just have to be,
They're stunning, yes.
little biased, but four beautiful children, Gabrielle, Kennedy, Alexandria, and my son, Deuce. Yeah. Hashtag GA the toddler, Gregory. And so I'm very excited to be here today. Thank you. And we've known each other for at least 14, 15 years, just for the record.
In different capacities, y'all. Like when I tell you, we it's just a long time.
Well, I gotta tell them this since we just talking, right? We sisters just talking. I have to tell you this every time, and I don't think I've ever told you this. So here's my space and opportunity. Every time I look back into my memories on Facebook, there is a message from you. I made monthly bi-monthly, quarterly, at least minimum, saying, I just want to let you know I love you. I just love you. I love you. Hey, sis, I love you. I want to, well, I'm about to cry, child. I want to
Don't do
appreciate
it.
that so much because I am that strong friend that's doing a lot of things and people think I just got it all together. But I tell you, you always have a way to like just sneak in there and be like, I know you ain't got it all together. Hey, sis, I'm here though. And I love that about you. And we don't even have to talk all the time for you to still do that. And I appreciate that over the years. There were a lot of, and now I'm going to screenshot them and let you see.
Oh, God.
There's so many messages of you doing that for me. And I
Wow.
need that because I always feel like I'm there for others. And I don't have that person really there for me. And you've been that person. I appreciate that. That's love, right? Let's talk about it.
Nope.
How to love me is like not need anything, right? And still love me and not need anything from me. And I feel like sometimes I get used with that because I
Woo.
have a gift of
That.
execution or ideas, or I can make things pop or whatever. And people just call me because they need me. But you call me just to say, I love you. I see you. That's important. Hello, I see you. It's so beautiful. So I appreciate that about you.
And
So
we not crying. Look, we ain't crying today. Get
girl,
that
I
together.
felt that in my Shanto.
No.
I didn't even plan that
That's why
one,
I was
but
like,
I wanted to tell you that because one day I was going through my memories and I was like, that doggone some Grace. That doggone Grace always shows up. Like, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. I really do. I'm gonna move on because I feel a little choky up in here.
And you know I'm pregnant. I'm emotional, so you can't do that. No, I done already cried enough this morning. I'm not doing it no more. Good.
You'll cry, baby, anyway. So
I
there's that.
am, and I didn't used to be. I really was not. I was so
You was
stoic. I was
hardcore.
like, I ain't gonna do nothing. I ain't getting no emotion. Yeah, that changed. But anyway, and I try not to be, but sometimes we're emotional, and it happens.
And it's
It come out,
okay,
and it's
actually.
okay.
It's
It's
okay.
okay, and that's the whole. We're not talking about that, but it's okay. Like
Yeah.
if crying and that's how you get your stuff out, please do. Don't
Get it
let
out.
anybody tell you that you're a punk, whether you're a man, get it out. Because when you keep that stuff in, it's just, yeah,
It
that can be a whole other
explodes.
thing.
Emotions explode for
Yeah.
sure.
So Yolanda is, and she was like, why in the world did you ask me to do this? But it's even in her talking about our relationship, and I don't even think about this. Like, this is just what I do and who I am. And when it comes to it, like, I'm going to tell you I love you because I know we're not all strong all the time, and I know that sometimes we're really good at putting on our facades and pretending that we are what we are. Like, I'm the queen probably of being able to just mask what I'm feeling and thinking. But we have people who sometimes they might need a little something else. And so we have to be willing and able to give that. So when we talk about teach me how to love you, it's even things like that. Like, how do we, as we're thinking about relationships, like romantic, as we're thinking about our friendships, first off, how do we become okay with ourselves enough to say, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to accept? How do we get to that point of being okay before even setting those expectations with others?
It's for me, my journey was very, very intentional to get to know myself. I grew so much, and I have a 21-year-old. So she keeps just doing things. I'm
Which
like,
is
girl,
crazy.
ain't that?
Even thinking about that.
It's crazy in real life, okay? But as I'm talking to her, I'm like, things that matter now will not matter when you're 25. I changed so much between now. My background is in psychology, so there's that, okay? And I worked in mental health for 8 years, but I changed so much at 25 and 20 and 30, 35, and I am 45 years old. And at 45, this is like really, you know what I'm saying? But it's an intentional journey that I took. And I don't know if a lot of women or people in general actually take the time to learn and know themselves. I spent a lot of my youth trying not to relive childhood issues. So that created a different person. That's a good way to say it. Created a different person to who I really was. Then I spent my 20s, let's talk romantic love. I spent my 20s just really basing whatever that guy wanted into who I was and how I showed up. And, it wasn't really who I am.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't intentional. I don't even know when the epiphany was, but it was like, I have to. Actually, let's just be transparent. I know when it was. It was when I got divorced that I had to figure out what was wrong in that whole process of breaking up. I realized, and I even shared with my children, I don't even know if I shared this publicly. I had to share with them that I have to be a happy, content, and whole woman in order to be a good mommy. And so I have to leave the situation and begin to heal from the inside out, because other than that, I'm gonna leave them some childhood trauma. Mm-hmm. Hello, and that is my kids really, and I don't even know how to say this for people who are childless, but there's something about that motherhood that gives you that extra drive for me personally, and it's not all mothers, because it's not all mothers. We could talk about that. Right? That's a whole. But that's a whole. I just got a revelation about that. That's a whole topic for another day. But for me, the kids drive a lot of what I do. I came from a broken environment, and I came from a broken home, and I just didn't want to relive that. So they drove me a lot to figure out what I needed to be happy, so that I could actually show up for them. Let me stop. I could go on and on, but that's really, it was a very intentional process through that breakup, because I wanted that to thrive. I wanted that to work, because my parents didn't have it. Not because he was the greatest gift to me, just because my parents didn't have it. And I got pregnant outside of wedlock. So I was like, I'm marrying this guy, period. Because my parents did not get married. I'm reliving their issues. And then my sister had to deal with who's her father. And I didn't want to, I was reliving all of that. So in order, this is Savannah, you already know. In order, we think that we can stop God's will when we make these choices, and he really shows up like, man, that ain't what I said.
Yeah, you thought.
I ain't in that.
You thought.
Oh, then it didn't take us so long to get to where we going, because we trying to make it our will. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay, that's another one too.
So we circumventing. No, you didn't. We were circumventing the process, because we want to interject our will into what it's supposed to be
and how it's supposed to be. It happened. It was outside the will of God, but the child was a blessing. I could just moved on. But what I do, try to fix that thing up, make it pretty, because when we in the church, gotta make it pretty.
You gotta make it pretty.
All this gotta be right. You can't. Well, that's what I thought.
Right? That's what we think.
So, So now here we are, 21 years later, right?
Still, and I talked to somebody. I was talking to somebody about that earlier. How, and those who they know I identify as Christian. That is what I believe. Love God, everything. And I'll tell them that a misconception, for those of us who are Christian, and in the church, is that things are perfect. We don't have emotions. We don't have feelings. We don't mess up. Everything is great. And I'm like, that is not reality, because we are all still human. We are humans with that Christian, overgo. We just have different beliefs, and we believe different things, and our faith builds us a certain way, but we are still human. So we still make these mistakes. We still have these children. We still have, all this stuff that everybody else is doing. We still do. But for a long time, the church has just kind of been like, oh no, we don't talk about these things. we cover all this stuff.
We still doing that in 2022. We still not talking about what we need as women, as men, as a whole person. And that's so important. That's why I feel like it was really just a click for me. And it doesn't click for everybody. So I hope that your listeners here, if it's at a point where you've never did this self-evaluation,
do it.
40, 30, 20, I don't care how old you are. Make the self-evaluation. What do you love about yourself? What do you dislike about yourself? What could change? What is not even your issue that you carry in? That's where I'm at right here. Oh my God. I've carried so much of my family issues, my friends' issues, and all of that. And it creates who you are when you do that. So you just can imagine the, kind of weight. Yes. Thank you. Right. The weight of the world that you carry as women, as mothers, as wives, on your shoulders, and trying to keep that face, that Christian face, especially when you go to church like mine, right? And you there 54 times a week, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, You got to keep up that face. I did that for a long time. Even in my divorce, I was at church. People didn't even know we wasn't even together. But you ain't together. I mean, I'm just saying, it ain't y'all
Mm-hmm.
business now
Ain't
because
none
we
of
was
you.
keeping that face.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that I could go a whole different way with that. But I am really big on transparency. Like, I'm never going to be one that's going to disparage the church and say it's this and that. We just have our issues just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what I want us to get to is a place of wholeness and awareness and being able to talk about this stuff. Because you have people who are suffering and people who are
In
just in
silence,
silence because we don't talk about it and it's taboo and oh my gosh, we can't, because
especially with our
yeah.
men,
Oh
especially with our
God.
men.
And
Our men in the
especially
church don't have a outlet at all. I will. I
mm, no. And that's one thing. I mean, I'm not a man, but I'm definitely big on pushing my husband. Like, go and shoot something. Like, go do something because I need you to go
shoot
and be
something.
okay. Like at the range, we
You
ain't
mean the
gonna go shoot
range?
nothing
Let's
else.
be clear.
Not a person or anything else. Let me be very clear.
You mean
Don't be coming for
legally?
him. But like at the shooting range, like go do because you need an
Outlet,
outlet.
yeah.
You need something, to be able to do. And outside of this, church
Mm-hmm.
is great, and being Christian is great, but there's more, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
The
that's a
whole
part of
person, the
it's the
whole
whole,
person,
and
and
that's
we
a
need to
part of
address
my
each
everything
part of our being,
because we're
right?
so intricate and we need to be able to
Yes,
address every single part of that. And y'all know
yes,
that's a part of my platform, whole health healing,
yeah.
like all of it. So today that is part of what we're doing. Like, teach me how to love you. Like, sometimes we don't even know how to love us. So
Mm-hmm.
how are we going to have people loving us the way we need to be loved if we don't even first know how to love us?
Step one, know yourself.
And
Step one.
so I know for me, I didn't know what I wanted because I didn't love me. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
grew up, yeah, my background is a lot, but I grew up in foster care, place to place. I didn't have consistent love. I didn't have my biological family. I didn't have people who always wanted me. I was a check sometimes, because that's what it becomes in foster care. So they
Wow.
didn't really love. They were just you somebody to take care of because I'm getting
Tolerate,
money,
right?
you
Mm.
know. And so growing up like that, I started seeking love in some not so great
I can
places.
imagine why. I mean, that's
I was all over the place. I did things I
Mhm.
shouldn't have done because I didn't know not to do those things. Like, I didn't have that background where I knew what I wanted. I didn't have the daddy who loved me and taught me that
Mm.
these men are going to use you like this, when you give them this. I didn't have all that. And so I started to act a certain way because I didn't have it. And I realized eventually, it took some years, it took some time, that I didn't know who I was and I didn't know what I wanted. And I was accepting a little bit of everything because I just didn't know. And it wasn't until, and I was actually married when I started dealing with this, which is funny. Um, I was married and having to learn and relearn what I wanted, who I was, what I loved, what I didn't want. I was married having to learn all this.
Mm.
So if you're not married yet, just please get all this out the way because you don't want to be married and having to deal with this because then he's having to deal with you
I feel
having to
like
figure
my
all this
my
out
ex-husband was like, "What schizophrenic stuff is happening here because you evolving so
while
much
you're
as a
together.
person while you're
Yep.
married. You lucky you
Mhm.
got a patient one over there."
I am thankful. I am, and I haven't always appreciated that, but I am thankful because man, that Joker should have been gone. Because when I tell you I was back crazy, and I have my moments still because there's still some triggers.
Yeah.
Like he'll do something and I'll go off and then I'll have to come back and be like, why did I even act that way? And it's
Mm-hmm.
because I fear you're gonna reject me. I fear you're gonna leave me. I
Mm-hmm.
fear that you're gonna treat me like somebody else did. Or
Mm-hmm.
I had this thought of what they did to me when I was in foster care and it looks the same. So I feel like you're gonna do the same thing, even though the history has shown me that you're different.
Mm-hmm.
So you're dealing with all this other stuff. But at some point I got to that where I was like, well, this is what I will accept. And that took time. And having to come back to him after all this time, be like, okay, I don't like when you do this.
Mm-hmm.
This triggers me. This is how I want you to show you love me. Because I hear you. I hear you say it. Words are one thing, but this is what I need from you to be able to actually feel that you love me.
And
This
in
is what I
romantic
need.
relationships, that's important to have that conversation. I think in my singleness now, not I think, this is what I've done in my singleness now to get to a place so when I meet that person, that I could be like, this is what I need. Because I pretended so much in my earlier years in romantic relationships about what was okay, what felt
Mm-hmm.
good. And men automatically, most, not all, so I was never a generalization, maybe give gifts and think, or work or something like that, and think that's the thing.
That's
For
what we
me,
want.
it's very so much so quality time. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have the time, we ain't gonna work,
Mm-mm.
because that's my love language. But knowing that was a part of the process. Gifts are a way down on the 5 love language. Gifts are like probably last. That does not move me. I love them. I appreciate. I'm a very appreciative person, but that is not my primary. Service is my primary. I'm a very independent woman that has to do a lot of things on my own. So if somebody comes in and is changing light bulbs, I'm about to fall in love. Did you change a light bulb without me asking? Woo, yes.
You sound like me. Woo!
Service.
Yes.
Yes. Your car need to be washed. Service. So it's
Yeah.
not buying me the jewelry, it's not buying me a fancy restaurant outing. It is the little things that I can't get to because I'm moving so fast. But that's about knowing yourself. Again, step one,
Know yourself.
know thyself.
And that if you guys have
That's
not, I mean,
very
by
much.
now you should probably have heard about it because it's everywhere. But check out the 5 love languages.
Oh yeah.
Is it 5? I feel
Yeah.
like they added
Did they
another
add
one.
one? Well, it
That's
was
what I was like. I feel
originally
like they
called the
added,
5 love
but
languages.
it was the 5 love languages. I think it still is. But check that out so you know what it is you want. I had to do like the test. I had to read the book. Like, what do I really want? Because like Yolanda was saying, like I would get a gift and be like, okay, that's great,
And you're
but
creative, so I can imagine just a regular smegular gift is
I was
not
like,
gonna.
okay, but did
Ugh,
you put
never
any
gonna.
thought into that? Like,
Yeah.
did you think about, okay, well, maybe she just wants my time? Because sometimes I just want to sit and look at you. Like, I don't necessarily want you to go hand me like diamonds are great and money is great.
Mhm,
But even a trip, that quality time, like us spending time, you don't
mhm,
necessarily have to buy, but you have to know that first. And
mhm,
I didn't know that for a long time. And when I started knowing that and I started getting comfortable in saying this is what I want, then that was the expectation. And not even necessarily in romantic relationships, even in friendships. Like I
mhm.
have friendships that I might not talk to you but once a year, but the expectation is set that, okay, this is how I need you to love me. Like check on me, like send a text at
Mhm.
least once a year and make sure I'm okay. Um, and those who are around me or know me this arm, they at least know that about me, you know. And you could send me a gift, that's great, but in the end, I'm gonna want to know, do you really love me? Like in a different way. Gift is great, but you could just send that from Amazon nowadays, like, and put no thought into that. But send me a certain type of gift that that's really speaking to me. So when you think about even flipping from romantic, because we could talk about that all day. That's you know, but even thinking about like friendships and associateships and business relations, like how do you set that expectation in a way that not saying they'll never transgress and they'll never do something they shouldn't do, because that's just not gonna happen. But how do you set that expectation so that you get what you need? And then how do you when you're not getting what you need, how do you renegotiate that so that it comes back to a good place?
Mhm. That's good for me because I'm in a lot of business relationships. So I am a communicator by choice. I love, public speaking and stuff. I'm even a member of Toastmasters, and I think everybody who knows me knows that. I level set in business relationships, like what I need from this is right. I was on a call even before this one, and I was like, all right, let's reevaluate what we talked about so we both know what our takeaways are. I am just that kind of direct because I feel like if we don't, we assume, let's say that, we assume people know
Mm-hmm.
what you want from them. They
Yeah,
should know. They know
they
me.
should know.
They've been working with me for a while. They should know. Even
Yeah.
in a corporate environment, I'll even level set like, all right, we just had this meeting. What's our takeaways? What's our actions? What are you doing? What am I doing? When are we coming back? But that's something you learn along the way. I feel like if you do not do that, in business relationships, you are going to come away with somebody being unfulfilled or somebody dropping the ball. I didn't really know that you wanted me to follow up on that. I thought, well, I mean, we said it, but it was, and those kind of unproductive conversations are not for me. Like I just, like I'm fired up when we come back to a business conversation and nothing has been done, or nobody knew what the takeaway was. What? So I'm very transparent about that. But again, that comes with that time and knowing yourself. Like if I come back here a week later on our next meeting and we don't have any progress, that is going to drive me banana. I'm just going to want to fall off. Kind of, I just did that. Don't tell nobody. I just did that. I was like, I won't be on this call again because why? We're not doing anything. We're just kind of wasting time. So even in business, I think knowing even your love language in business, I don't think it really changes, to be honest. How you want to be loved and how you want to be communicated with doesn't really change in the relationship, no matter who it is. In my business, I would prefer that kind of let's spend time and sit together and figure it out instead of trying to text each other all the time. Does that make sense? So in my love life, I like time. In my business life, I like, give me that time. It may not be as long, right? It may be like, let me get that 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and let's figure it out versus trying to do this electronic communication thing that doesn't really resolve anything. So in my experience, my love language doesn't really change. I don't think so.
I actually agree. It might manifest in a different way.
Right.
I think, but it's pretty much the same. If I like quality time and I want to like hear from you and us talk and converse, it's gonna be the same either way. Whether it's business, I might not want as much time with you.
15. Let's do a hot 15. Let's do a hot 20,
It still needs to be the type of quality that I'm looking for. So I agree.
And the type of communication, like that open, that transparency. Like I'd rather do that than always assuming and not just stuff looming. I like to nip it in the bud. Even when things go wrong in a situation, I like to just nip that so that we can move and progress on instead of letting it fester. Same with friendships, female friendships. Woo, God.
Those. Like, ooh.
I am still now, Grace. I still am trying to ask for grace in the areas of women. And I think it reminds me of something you said. It's a trigger of even high school. I hate to even say that because I've been out of high school a long time. But even in high school, I had some really good girlfriends. And then somebody really, what do you call that? Turned on me or I can't think of it, but I lost trust in them or whatever. And I've not been the same since high school. Because I thought you was my best friend. And I think, and yes, it happened more than once with different people. So it's just like, them women, you could keep. So that's why your relationship is just really valuable to me. I could go on.
Yeah, I was like, nope, look, them say, I'm like, nope, we talking
I could go on and on and on and on. I'm very particular. I was just assessing that today and I was just like, I don't even know why I was assessing that today. I think because I was at church and something happened and I was like, I don't know really good girlfriends anymore. I probably can count them on one hand. It has dwindled down significantly, really.
Well,
I don't know if that's good. I
don't think that's a bad thing. I don't. And that was something I was considering too. So, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just what it is. I think when you have a few good ones, that's good.
Right.
Because I don't necessarily want a whole crew around me. That's just not me. But when you have a few good, we're good. But I had to learn how to be the good girlfriend. Because I've messed up. I've messed up a lot in relationships and friendships. Again, and it goes back to I didn't really know me and didn't know exactly what I needed. And so I didn't treat others how they should because I didn't know. Like it was just like a whole, and so I did stuff because I wasn't aware. So I do want to make that caveat because sometimes we're not aware of ourselves and we mess up in other relationships because we're just not able to effectively give what we should because we're not where we should be. So
but here's the thing, in all relationships, even business, love, and in sisterhood, that we both talked about the triggers because I'll tell you that girl did that one thing and that trigger from high school came up. What?
Oh yeah,
we talk to that girl from high school no more. You know what I'm saying? But
it's there. It don't matter. It's there. Yeah,
it's there, and it's powerful. and it is still existing. And I think what I was trying to make a point there was not to make the new people pay for the old,
That
take on the baggage of that girl from high school. I call her name. I should. She might be listening.
don't call.
Call
Don't
her
call.
name. And it had nothing to do with the woman that is, she didn't know, right? She might not have known that was a trigger, and not just to carry that and blame. Like, the trigger may happen. That's trauma. But how you deal with that trigger
They
is up
can't
to you.
suffer for
Right.
what you deal
It's
with.
up to
Yep.
you how you deal with that trigger. So that's business, that's personal, that's in sisterhood, how you deal with the trauma that you experience. We can't lash it on to, and that's a lot about being the good friend, the good
Yeah.
business partner, the good partner,
Yeah.
not taking it out on me.
Mm.
I didn't do
And
it.
and I acknowledge it today. Like, there wasn't a time where I could acknowledge that. There was times where I was like, well, I messed up, whatever. Let get over it. But
Ooh,
I
that
had
is
to get to
worse.
that point where I acknowledged I sucked. And this is why I sucked. And please give me the grace to make it up to you,
Mm-hmm.
because I was not a good,
Wow.
you know. But again, this all comes back to this knowledge of realizing who we are, what we've done, why we are who we are, and then what we will allow and accept as we move forward. Because again, we are all human. We all make mistakes. We all deal with a whole lot of history and trauma and stuff that just compacts. Like, it's not like one thing happens and then that's the one thing we're dealing with for the rest of our lives. It's no, one thing happens and then something else is gonna happen, and it's just gonna keep doing this until you start
Mm.
actually unmantling those layers and those triggers and those things that kept happening. Then you can get to a good and a healthy place, which is where I want us to be in relationships. And again, it's not just romantic, because I know that's where we go. We talk about, oh, romance and him and her.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get past that, because we're not even just thinking about romantic. But I know my focus in this season has been, yeah, friendships and business, because I have my marriage, but I work on that daily.
Mm-hmm.
It's the things we don't work on. So those friendships and all that suffer, because we just don't set those expectations, and we don't establish what we want. And then we're sitting there like, well, I wish he would check on me, and I wish he would do this, and I wish, but we're not doing nothing. And then you're wondering why this stuff suffers. Not saying, again, you got to have 10 million friendships, because I don't believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
But at least the ones that matter, and the ones that are meant to go forward, because I think that there are some you carry with you and they're meant to go into purpose. Those are the ones we really need to be very
Intentional.
intentional
Mm-hmm.
about, and just talk about what it is we need. So as we're thinking about 2023, because I want to transition and start going that way, how do we build on what we have established that we need and we desire? And how do we continue to build on that? And how do we encourage those who are still trying to figure it out for themselves, to continue to process and to get to a place of, I know what I want and this is what I accept?
I would, what's ringing in my head is accept the things you cannot change. So as you're going into 2023, some of that childhood stuff, some of that old stuff is not going to change. Nothing's going to happen with it, right? It's accepting who you are, what made you, and where do you want to go now? This is what happened. And I know I'm kind of a dust it off and move on, and everybody's not like that. But if you want to thrive in 2023, you're going to definitely have to accept it, embrace it,
Hmm?
move on. I think that's going to be the number one thing. So if you haven't, like we said before, haven't taken the time to get to know yourself, everything we said is on the basis of knowing yourself and knowing how you want to love and how you feel when you do these things, or when you hear these things, or when you experience these things. That's the number one foundation for everything. But accepting the things is what I'm hearing. Accepting the things you cannot change. And I am a very A-type personality. And this has happened for me in the last month. It's really accepting that everything's not going to be perfect and fit into this little box and be presented to you every day. So you have to be like, it's going to be messy. It's going to be out of the line, and that's okay. Sometimes I literally have to say to myself, it's okay that it's not perfect. Let's move on. I'm literally designing something on Canva and I can just every line, everything has to be in, oh, it's not symmetric. And I spend so much time, that's a metaphor for something else. I spend
Yep.
so much time making sure every little element is in symmetrical that I've wasted the time that I needed to do something else that was going to income produce for me. You think about that, you translate that into personal friendships and everything else, and you're spending all this time trying to make it the perfect thing, and it's just okay to be a little bit messy, a little bit not perfect, out the lines, a little bit creative. And that's where I am. I'm still learning. I think when people haven't done it yet, even the people who have done it yet, you and I, still is evolving. Even
Still.
in 2023, I'm gonna still be evolving. And it's not a it ends here. It's a ever changing evolution of who you are, as especially as you get older. I'll be like, this is 45, girl.
Ooh, yeah, we're not gonna talk about that. Like each year, because
45.
I'm already a certain way. Because I've been told that I am a certain way. There are certain things I expect, and I've been like that. I guess they call me old soul. I've always been a certain way. But each year that creeps by, there are certain things that just keep shifting a little more, and I'm like, all right, so this is what we gonna do, because and I'm praying because I'm like, Lord, I haven't even hit 40 yet, technically, and I'm already a certain way. So what is 40 gonna be?
45, you just don't care. It is what it is.
So
Okay? This is how I feel. I don't feel like I'm mean, but this is how I feel.
this is how you feel, and
This
this
is
is
what I'm
what it
not doing.
is.
The
Yeah.
art of saying no. I take on a lot, but everything that I'm doing right now, I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And things that I don't. And even let's talk about the girlfriend sisterhood, because you asked me, I'm in the middle of a whole lot of things, right? But you asked, I'm gonna stop because we can make time for what we need and want to,
That.
right?
Yep.
And that's what I did. I was like, yeah, well, I got a zillion things to do today, but she called, I'm on it. But this is 45. I would totally say no if it wasn't you.
Mm-hmm. And
If
I
it
think
wasn't you, I totally say.
that's part of setting expectations, though. And just knowing what it is you want to do, what you desire, what's important to you. Because I'm definitely that type that, and that's a whole, we're going to talk about that another time, y'all. So make sure you listening to the 12 days.
Tune
Um,
in.
but being able to say no, and not taking on everything else,
And
just
being okay with
because,
it,
and
like
being
sitting
okay.
in that no. Because sometimes I used to say no and then be like, well, I could do a little bit this, I could do a little that. No. And one, you know why? My mental health became very, very important.
Yes. Yep.
2022 was a dark time for me. It wasn't just 2022. And I, by the end of this quarter, like the beginning of the last quarter of the year, I kind of popped out of it, but it was looming from 2017 on. It was just looming. And it just, like you said, compacted. Nothing was ever dealt with, no therapy. I just showed up smiling, jovial. 2022 was like a vortex. I even
Yep.
made it through the pandemic, which was a little challenging because, right, everything shifted in our world. But it was a great business year, so who cares? Like everything was great, right? But this beginning of this year, I started out so it's gonna be everything. And then I was in my bed almost
Yep.
all year, and nobody would have known. And mental health is so important to me that if anything happens now or any situation, I would just say no, cut it off, and be okay. That's my
And be
point.
okay.
And be okay with it. Don't even look back. Like if you felt like that was a challenge or something that was going to challenge your mental health or put you over the top or stress you out, sis, brother, say no and be okay.
And
That's
again, that's another topic, but just one quick caveat with that. Instead of it just being, I'm saying no, but I'm gonna do a little bit, I would say no, and then I would worry about, well, what are they gonna think about
what they
me?
think about you.
And what
Oh,
are they gonna say about me? And oh, they're gonna think I'm this. And so I went into a whole other situation and putting
spiraling.
stuff on top of it when I had already said no, and then I end up, well, maybe I'll do this because I don't want them to think.
Mm-hmm. That's a
And
great point.
that comes back to me knowing me. I had to realize that when I said no, I need to be able to let that go. I need to be able to say, and what they're gonna think is what they're gonna think. And it's just what
And
it
I'm
is.
not rude about it. It's just like I can't do it. Whatever, however I deliver it, it's not you're not gonna feel bad.
Yeah.
but it's gonna be a finite thing for
Enough.
me. But yeah, but that
So
this is, but listen, I'm walking in, this is 45 for me, because I used to care so much what other people thought, that wouldn't matter, and I would just take it on and take it on and take it on and carry, and I can't do it
sorry.
anymore.
Y'all know I'm looking because I'm real irky sometimes, and this arm keep disappearing on me, but it's okay.
I want to tell you about the arm. Lean up,
I did.
lean forward.
See, y'all
It's,
get to see all the
it's
behind the
still
scenes
doing.
stuff.
Yeah,
There we go.
see, no, yeah, Slim.
Y'all know how we do. Again, they know
I
I'm
wonder
very
what that
just
is
like
and
it's
why
what it
it's just the
is.
one.
I don't know. We're gonna figure that out. But yeah, so this is what it is, y'all.
Unedited, unscripted.
This is what they get.
That's a better view anyway, just so you
It
know.
is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as we're going into this new year, first I want to remind us again, start with knowing you. Knowing what that is and whether that means processing through that childhood trauma and all that other stuff to get to the you. Now I know some of you watching me might be like teenagers, you might still be dealing with some stuff. Get with somebody who can help you walk through that. Not necessarily peers, because your peers are still dealing with the same stuff that you're dealing with. Some of them can help, but just try to find somebody who can kind of mentor you and walk you through it. And it don't have to be, an adult. You like, oh, they just old and they're gonna tell me all this. Find somebody you can talk to. And if you don't know, send me a message. I'll help you find somebody if you don't want to talk to
You
me.
know what I
Because
heard though with that? If it doesn't matter in 5 years,
that
you should probably let it go.
you should probably let it
Like,
go.
because my daughter came in so flustered the other day. She's 21. And I'm like, if that little situation is not going to matter in 5 years, then you could just let that go. But then you don't think about that when you're a young person,
You don't.
But if you can hear us,
Yeah.
maybe just remember, write it down somewhere, put it in your phone. If it's not going to matter in 5 years, I can let it
And
go.
let it go. And that's so easy to say, I know.
It's not
But
easy.
I know that y'all are dealing with the whole, and it's different. Like our generations and like yours, it's just different.
Mhm.
So we hear that, I know. And some of y'all gonna be like, but you don't understand. We kind of been there. We might be a little older, but we've been there. But
Mhm.
find somebody who can kind of walk you through this. Identifying what you like, and that'll help you so much as you go forward in relationships and your friendships and all that. You won't accept the foolishness that you may accept otherwise. So
Mhm.
deal with that. But you who are older and you're having to deal with this now, whether you're in a relationship or not, whether you have friendships or not, it's really important as we go forward into a new year that you begin that process of figuring this thing out. We can't perpetuate a process of just not knowing what we want and then expecting people to give us what we want, but we don't even know what we want. So it's a cycle. And then we're getting the stuff that we don't want, but we don't know how to speak up for what we do.
Mhm.
And you can't really fault anyone for not giving you what you want if you don't even know what that is.
Mhm.
Um, so begin that process as we end this year. I know the end of the year is imminent. We don't have that much time. But you can at least start it, whether that's looking at that 5 love languages test, the book, kind of identifying what you think you like and want. Talking to those who are around you. You have somebody around you. You might not have a whole crew, a whole village, but there is somebody around who you can start that conversation with. And being okay with what that is. Like just being okay with what that is and accepting that it is okay to be exactly what you are and want what you want. And then going from there. So as we end, Yolanda, I want you to give I guess final thoughts, I'll say, on this topic, but I also want you to give your handles, kind of how they can follow you and what you're doing so that they can follow it with you as well.
First, loving yourself is a process. Well, I will give you a tool that really resonated with me. It's not quite where we're at, but I think you should morph it for what will work for you to find out more about who you are and how to love yourself, your love capacity. Okay. One thing I did to find my happy place was did a gratitude journey of 100 days. So it was 100 days of happiness because I felt like I couldn't find anything to be happy about, really. Let's just be
Mm-hmm.
honest. And I was thankful for my kids. I was thankful for all the normal things. But then I was thankful for the gas prices. I was just I had to look for something every day.
I
So
remember that.
maybe we can morph the journey to what do you love about yourself? What is your favorite thing about yourself? Maybe it's not 100 days. Maybe it's 30 days of things that you love about yourself, things that you like, things that you want more of, and being very intentional. That journey was public, which made me accountable. It doesn't have to be public. It could be private. It could be in a journal. It could be whatever. But I think you should take the time to daily, in a stretch of period of time, to figure out what it is that you like. How can you find me? I am everywhere on these social
Everywhere.
media streets. But my main handle everywhere is Yolanda J, YOLONDAJAY on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And if you follow me at linktree.com/Yolanda J, you can follow me on all social media platforms, including YouTube and LinkedIn. Hello. I'm everywhere. I'm in the streets. I'm in these streets. Thank you so much, Grace Waters. I remember when Grace Waters was birthed, okay? So I'm excited. And I found my from the ashes. That is not personally signed. So I want to say this in front of
Oh,
everybody
yeah, I got to
that I
sign it.
need my book signed. Okay, that's what I'm just
Next
saying.
time you see me, just bring this. I can sign it.
Up from the ashes. 21-day journey by Grace Waters.
Yes.
If you
And I'm
want to
really
find
bad.
yourself,
I'm really bad at marketing myself. So thank
21
you,
days. That's a
Yolanda.
good little number. We just talked about it. I didn't even plan that.
Yep.
21 days journal. I'm just
And
saying.
now I'll say for that, when I got that, that was very interesting because I was like, 21 days, Lord. But there's a saying that it takes 21 days for a habit.
Yep.
And that's where that came from. It was, okay, if I can do this consistently for at least these 3 weeks, then that can create the habit. And that's actually good, if anyone's interested.
This
Again,
is
I'm
a good
really
one to start
bad
with.
at plugging.
That
But
was
if
so
you
not planned.
but if you need to start that journey of figuring out
Where
you,
can they
I
find
have
this?
I have to see. This is my friend. I'm gonna push you. That's on my site, which is www.simplygracewaters.com. So please go so you can start that journey, and I
That
would
was a
love to
great
get that to
segue. That
you.
wasn't a planned one. I
So
said start a journey. I looked over. I was like, oh,
and there it is.
there's it.
Um, and I didn't even say that, but if y'all want to go ahead and start that, please go get that. But I am all about starting this process because we need to be better. We can be better, and I don't want us
For
to be stuck.
ourselves, not for anybody else. Because I feel like if you are a whole, happy, complete person,
Then you can be for
my
everybody.
audience is women. So women, you will exude that out into the world, and all of the other things that you're waiting on will come to you when you're a
Absolutely.
healthy, happy person. Then all that energy reciprocates in the world. Okay, I'm done.
Now, y'all, we could go on forever because this stuff you just like you'll hit one thing and it'd be like, oh,
It's a
and
button
oh.
for something else.
But I've had to cut this off because I'm like, I can just keep going. But I said one day, and I joke about it. But Yolanda knows this kind of stuff well. I was like, one day we're gonna have to do a talk show, or we're gonna have to do something.
It's overdue.
To like talk about this stuff and let it be out there and transparent so that it's not so taboo to acknowledge the feelings and to actually deal with them. Like we say that and we like, oh yeah, you need to, but I don't think there's enough out there where we're actually dealing with it. So we'll see what happens in 2023. We might have to do a
The world
partnership
needs
or
Grace
something. We'll see.
Waters.
The world needs
Simply
Yolanda.
Grace.
We got to
Was
put
it
this
Simply
together.
Grace?
Simplygracewaters.com.
.com.
So
Up from the ashes. 21-day journey. Available now.
I'm just gonna hire her to be my personal marketer.
Just say, I'll put a plan together in a hot second.
We'll have to talk. We'll talk offline. But so yeah, that is what we're doing, y'all. Go into 2023 better for you. We focus so much on everybody else, but I want you better so that in the end, if you are in other relationships, you can be better for them. So that is it. Today's topic: teach me how to love you. Setting expectations. Join me for all the other days. There's a whole lot we're talking about, so just join me and be pushed and motivated. It's motivating me. Like I wrote it, but I'm like every time I get something else and I'm just like, oh. And so I'm excited about this journey and about this next year. So y'all go be whole, healthy, healed, and full. All right.
And
So I'll
back
talk to
tomorrow
y'all.
for 12 days of grace.
Right. Come back. But we're going to keep it going. I'll see y'all next time until we talk. Bye.